Well, thank you everyone for coming. This is our second meeting. We are the well-fed neighbors of Taney County. I don't know, it's an okay turnout tonight. We had more people last time. We were expecting more tonight, but I'm also at the same time maybe slightly relieved because I was afraid that we'd get maybe too many people, in the house. Joanna's been so nice to host this meeting twice now, and I just want to thank Joanna. But basically, anyone that's not been here before, we're just a grassroots organization, and we're trying to bring back local food production. We'd like to see local jobs, local food, healthy food, and just bring that back to the Ozarks. So that's really what our main goal is. As the agenda says, we're becoming an organization. Bear in mind, our goal is to create a community that is growing with us and envision farmers markets, community gardens, and local jobs, and more than that. And we also are doing this to grow together as a community, to not be separate, to be neighbors, truly be neighbors in our community, and help each other out, So that's who we are. What we've got, I'd say at this point, probably 25 or so members now. And we're going into winter and fall. I'm kind of the loudmouth of the group, the leader or whatever. I'm the front person, and that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm up here. I'm Sam. I know most of you, I've met everyone tonight, but that's why I'm up here talking. Just go over our agenda of what we've got, what we're doing, what we've done so far, what we're doing, and where we're going. And we want to get some ideas and just see, kind of what everybody thinks and explain the story. So, our first meeting was last month on the 4th. We do have a monthly meeting on the first Tuesday of every month. Maybe it wasn't the 4th. No. Well, either way, the first Tuesday of every month. So, we're here this Tuesday. What we've done over the past month, we've attended a couple events, and then we had a booth at the Grape Festival. We attended the USA Prepares Expo in Springfield. Went up there, Eli went up there, Dave Phillips went up there, who's not here tonight, and a couple other folks went up with us, Eli's wife Mandy, and Eli's mother, and we all went up and just kind of saw what the event was about. The Well-Fed Neighbors is a pretty big organization actually in Springfield. They have about 2,000 members, and they're in several other counties. It's the Well-Fed Neighbors or the Well-Fed Neighbor Alliance. So there's a lot of members that may be the the Greene County Gardening Club that are members of the Alliance. So, fancy names, but we're all about the same thing. But there is probably about 2,000 actually well-fed people in Springfield. And so we're just they have a model, and they've actually been quite successful. And so we've kind of we are bringing some of that model down here, and we've created our own entity, the Well-Fed Neighbors of Taney County, and we're just part of the Alliance. So, that being said, what we're doing. So we went to the USA Prepares Expo and supported a booth there that was a Well-Fed Neighbor, a Greene County or Well-Fed Neighbor booth, and talked to people, interfaced, made some good contacts with people. That was the first thing we did. And then me and Brandon went up to the Sustainable Living Fair in Columbia, at Columbia University, and the creator of Well-Fed Neighbors, Galen Chadwick, was actually speaking there. So we went up to try to just show some face and just, interface in the community. And we met some people up there that maybe will come into play in the future. So we're just trying to all be, once again, neighbors. So, and then last weekend we had the Hollister Grape Festival, and we had a booth down there. We gave out, I think, somewhere around 1,000 packets of seeds from Baker Creek, heirloom seeds from Mansfield, Missouri. Met a whole lot of good people. I'd say it made at least, we got at least 50 or so names, and I think those people will continue to show up and trickle in. And we've set up an email list, and we've got their contact info. And before the next meeting, I actually am going to, a week before, maybe a couple days before, call everyone on the phone too. So at that event, I think that's what we did there. So it was a total success, I guess, for at this stage, and went really well. It was really motivating, and the festival, I just had a fantastic time in there. And I thought that they did a great job with the festival this year, and it was really cool getting to know a lot of my neighbors. So that's what we've done recently. Really, what I'm concerned about is a lot of the stuff we may want to do is obviously springtime appropriate. So we are going, over this winter, we need to, I think, define some goals. What we want to do as an organization, just not just talk about it, actually do it. To establish a couple of basic goals, projects, and go after those. And we've got people within our organization, I think, that can head up those projects. So we've kind of been talking this week, me and Joanna have, and at this meeting on this agenda, I've listed the 4 ideas that we've kind of got for going into this winter and for the big spring kickoff.
The very first one was 1916.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, so you're doing really good. Yeah.
You look really good.
Whatever she's having, I'll have it.
It's gotta be the water.
Texas water, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Well, then what happened? 1916 and they...
Well, it went on, I think, for about 30 years. And I think it was the last one they had was like 1945, 47, right through there.
Oh.
And then there was a huge lapse, and then it just picked up again. 1997, I think, was the first year.
The guy who was the promoter, what was his name?
Um,
The Mayor Tate plays him. Otto somebody. He was the publicity guy
Yeah.
Okay.
for the town of Hollister, and so he kind of started the Grape Festival as a thing, and then he passed away, and then that was kind of the end of it until
His
it got
wife
redone.
were the socialites and held parties, and he started this, and it started out originally because of the grapes that were grown in this area.
Actually have a connection
Yeah,
with
it
grapes
was more of an
back
agricultural fair than it was what it is today.
France, they had like a total virus like in the late 1800s that
Mhm.
killed like all their grape crop.
Yes.
And they actually took the Ozark grape and brought it to France, and so that's what their modern, I guess, a majority of the modern grapes are based off. I think we've come a long way. And the other reason why we're doing this is because we've had this total loss of agriculture. It's actually, I didn't realize it was so extreme, but when you actually start to dig into like the numbers, it is
It's
ridiculous.
amazing.
You go, I mean, the apples is the prime example. And I think what was it? 10,000 orchards in 1950 in the state of Missouri, and now we have less than 500 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just totally. And then they say that the land here, it's only good for cattle and seed fescue. Or at least I think the extension office may say. I said that. I read that. I think it was the extension office. But regardless, we can obviously grow all kinds of amazing things in the Ozarks. But
Where was it that they used to have the tomato canning factories?
Well, we used to can tomatoes at the college.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was they did beans and tomatoes there as a way to
I was
raise
reading
money.
about it. It was somewhere else besides that.
And from my understanding, there were a
But
lot
I
of
don't remember
tomato
whether it was here or
canners.
down in Arkansas. It was
Yeah.
somewhere I was reading.
well, I would like to see that come back. That's part of our focus, really. So.
Yeah, that's mainly family knowledge now, passed down in the family is canning, and that's kind of a
Well, it's
kind of a discouraging trend if you ask me, because families are lazy. Especially now, a lot of families I know are lazy. So
I think it's
Well,
crazy.
and they quit teaching that in school. It used to be home economics, and they used
Yeah,
to
there
teach
isn't
them
that. Yeah.
that,
That doesn't
and it's
exist anymore.
gone.
No.
That's totally out of.
They teach them how to bake now, and how to. I know they do some baking.
do the box, the box cake.
Man,
Classic.
Gardening would be a lot better, especially in this, home economic in this economy, when everything's just getting crazy expensive. So, but what we were kind of talking about was just what we had done. We had gone to the USA Prepares Expo. A couple of us had. We had gone. That was in Springfield. We had gone to the Sustainable Living Fair in Columbia, and then we obviously had our booth. But what we were getting to is that what we're looking at do, what are we actually going to do, instead of just talking about it, etc. So we need to define some goals and maybe establish a couple projects to work on and develop this winter, so that when it comes springtime, we can just hit the ground rolling and just be on the ground and get some results. And I know it takes a while to get results. So in Patience of Youth, I just want tomorrow to be like gardens everywhere, and everyone's has a job based on growing food or selling or producing food. But so that's what we want to do. What we kind of had come up with, this is me and Joanna just kind of talking to people here and there, is kind of the following. We have a school gardening program. We would like to develop a program that we can bring to like the elementary school to help get the kids out gardening and like have a school garden and get the kids, teach them how, and just actually see the garden produce something. That's kind of a vague way of putting it, but or a broad way to put it, but that's kind of the basic gist of it. And
Sam,
yes.
they just passed a $735,000 grant to do exactly that at Hollister School.
Okay, and I thought I had heard that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
What do you know about that? Like, what does that consist of?
They're going to put in gardening for the students to take care of and develop, and they're doing, I don't know, like 3 or 4 other projects just to get the kids physically fit, out and about, and then develop the gardening portion of it as well. I've got the article at home. I can bring that to you.
Well, and I see Debbie Redford every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in her office today, so I should have talked. I'll talk to her about that tomorrow.
Yeah, do.
Well, that's actually excellent news, because that means that we've got,
It's in conjunction with the YMCA too.
With the
Yes,
YMCA.
it
And
Yes.
isn't that just for those kids that stay after school because their parents can't pick them up earlier?
It is a new project that's being developed.
Well, I went in to talk to them about it, and they said it's just like expanding that program, what they already have. And they'll only be going to the Y 2 or 3 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the paper that my kids brought home sounded like it was an everyday thing.
Right.
And I didn't know it was just an expansion of what they already have, which is those kids that stay after school until like
It's
6:30 or
that
something.
and more. Like she had said too, they're going to incorporate physical fitness. They're
Right.
going to incorporate the gardening. They're going to.
And I'm saying those kids that normally don't stay
Mhm.
because their parents aren't working and they just go on home, they're not going to be involved in it.
Right.
Like mine.
Right.
I said, well,
Right.
but I didn't know what it was all about, and I went in there and I said, are they going to bring them home from the Y? And she said, I don't think so. They'll be bringing back to the school. And then I found out what it was all about, and I said, oh, I don't need my kids to stay after school when they already ride home on the bus.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
Well,
that's what they told me.
funnily enough, actually, Joanna and Denise actually started working with. This is actually very possibly their original idea. How long can you, Denise?
idea. I came in after she had already done a lot of the
Denise was the only person who showed up, but we started the community garden at the YMCA. And in March, I gave at the Hughes Theater, Well-Fed Neighbor, we made a movie and we had an expo there on the 27th, was it, of March? Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And the YMCA, and we had called, I'm just putting this out the way, this is part of this community. And I had called Debbie Redford 2 years ago and given her this idea as a connection. And Denise has been right there with me. We've seen it go. So we live in a community where people are willing to take your ideas and run with them and leave you out. And I don't want to see that happen to this group, because I want it to be pure and a leading kind of a thing. And I shouldn't speak from the pronoun. It's a community coming together. And the young people need to be taught to how to take care of themselves. And it doesn't need to be about just making money for one organization.
Right.
It needs to be for the good of all people.
I agree.
And I don't want to see it, and excuse me for having to speak from the pronoun, I don't want to see it get lost in greedy personalities.
Absolutely not, and I sure hope it won't. I don't think it will, you know.
And Sam has come back to live here. He's been in Europe, and we have the young people who are coming in now who are wanting this to be a good place to live and a place that is good for all people, not just for little cliques.
Right, a community together, you know. Yeah.
It's part of the growth beyond just of creating gardens. It's a humanistic growing process where there is a community that has some maturity, some intellectual and spiritual maturity, and some awareness of each other. And the idea of neighborliness is not a new idea. It's a broad stroke that says everything that has been taught biblically, and it's well founded to love yourself and love your neighbor, and that is community. It's happening all over the United States, but it certainly has to get out of the cliques that are here.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and that's, you know, that's exactly what we intend to do. Exactly thing. I think we can maybe that we don't have to develop a program. Maybe they've already got it. But I'll tell you what, we definitely need to be involved with that program. And surely with all of our connections at school, even within this group, you know, Nurse Tracy couldn't make it here tonight, but certainly, you know, we ought to be able to get involved and probably add to it, and hopefully learn. So I can learn something from it. So, so that was one. That's one thing we would like to put as a goal or a project. I talked to Tracy, and Tracy Phillips is our school nurse, and she's also a member. And I talked to her. She expressed interest in being kind of the person that would at least head up that task. We wanted to at least give a couple people specific tasks so that they could organize, you know, and obviously they're not going to be in the loan. And then have people kind of filter into those tasks, you know, until we create more tasks and more projects, and then someone else can. It's just a small leadership initiative, I guess. I don't know.
And does she work for Hollister School?
Yeah,
okay.
She does. And actually, I put school gardening program, but what that also would break into, and maybe this is where it needs to go, is it was a school gardening program / container gardening, raised beds, even gardening out of like, you know, Rubbermaid buckets or, you know, mineral buckets that like cows. That's what I used to grow squash this summer. Big, you know, massive plastic buckets that cows lick mineral out of in the winter. And I had about 10 squash plants in those buckets. And man, it was hot all summer, but you know, I got tons of beautiful large squash. So, and what we can actually do with a project like that is we can reach out to the community and go, hey, you know, maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you don't have space or, you know, whatever, but you know, we can do some container gardening. So that's something we may need to work on. Going to the second project or goal was we want to have workshops. It may be workshops starting out with just a couple of us, or it may be out for the community and having tons and tons of people at workshop. But we want to have workshops on caning, workshops once again maybe even on container gardening, workshops on, there's 1,000 things we could have a workshop on that's interesting to our cause. And the person that I had asked to kind of be our workshops person expert is Denise Carr. So, and she's agreed to do that. So that's another goal. We're going to try to refine and create workshops and go from there. The third is what is called Garden Squad, and that name could be changed, but I thought the name Garden Squad, you know, you've got the Geek Squad, so I thought the Garden Squad would be kind of fun. But anyways, that's one I guess I've volunteered myself out to be kind of the person on that, you know, microcosm of our bigger effort. And basically what that is it's based on the 1,000 Garden program that the Well-Fed Neighbors in Springfield did the last 2 summers, which was a program which they basically would go out and they would help people plant gardens, and they aimed to get 1,000 gardens planted in Springfield. They got over 3,000 planted. So, and they're now launching on the 20th of October. They've announced it, but they will officially launch the Million Garden program, which they intend to do 1 million gardens in the state of Missouri. Which, who knows? It's where I could believe it, but so this would be a part of the 1 million garden program, just holding our turf down here in the Ozarks, Branson and Taney County. A third project or goal we had kind of discussed, and then the last one is the spring kickoff event. Joanna Denise had organized last year the big event at the Hughes Brothers Theater. They had several hundred people there at least. I mean, heck, how many people were there? Do you know?
379.
379 people, a lot of all from all types. I know I was there. That's actually where I met Joanna, and it was fantastic. I just thought it was great. We want to have another event like that, a big event for the well-fed neighbors of Taney County, and we'll be out there, and we can work all the details out. We'll launch and say, hey, we're going, we're hitting the ground running, and watch out and join us, and let's all be neighbors. So that's kind of the 4 goals that we had worked out, or we have discussed and want to maybe pursue. But I think we need to get these defined, and I know we can't maybe define them all tonight, but we definitely need to. I mean, if we want to say that's cool, let's do those 4 things, that's fine, let's do it. If not, we can work it out until next meeting. But by next meeting, we've got to have the goals defined, in my opinion, and working to develop those so that come springtime we are ready to just rock and roll. Okay, now outlook. So that's just kind of where are we going from here? Future meeting location. The next meeting in November, we're going to find a location to meet at somewhere bigger. Maybe it could be a restaurant, it may be a public place. We've got to work that out. So I need your ideas, and I'd like to have maybe a discussion, just shut up and sit down after this and listen to you guys so that we can figure out maybe a place or get some ideas at least.
Well, now you're welcome to stay here forever, Taney.
Oh, really? Oh, well, thank you very much. I thank you. And maybe this is the right spot, but I just thought, and Joanne had said that, probably we're going to get enough people to come to the next event that we're going to have to go somewhere different. So that's a thing. The second thing, and I'll wrap it up here, I'm sorry I'm blabbing, the fall-winter development, basically that's developing our projects so that we're ready, like I said, hit the ground running in spring. And then springtime, that's kind of the end game, and that's when we have to produce something and actually see results, plant the seeds to sow the results. So that's what I have as the outlook. That's what I'm thinking it is. Our next meeting, of course, is on, and I probably just totally I just assumed that every Tuesday, the first Tuesday because November is the 4th of every month, so I'll have to look ahead here, and I'm going to do that and get that straightened out. November, not the 4th, the shocking one.
But that's close. That's close, yeah.
A couple days left.
Yeah, a couple days. It's not too bad.
At the booth, our flyer said Monday
Monday.
the 4th.
Oh, this is
we're
classic.
There,
I love it.
This is why I don't need to do the dates. But so that's.
Are we doing 7 o'clock again?
Yes, ma'am. So it'll be
Now
Tuesday.
that's 7 p.m., right? Not a.m.
7 p.m.
Just to be 100 on that.
7 p.m. Yes. November the 1st is the first Tuesday, the first day of the month, and
Let's just do it here again.
Okay, so right now it'll be here. If for some reason anything changes, I will notify everyone here. And we'll go from there. Recent events are behind us. I think we're doing stuff. We're going forward. The project is a big thing. So if we can talk about the projects, maybe even, like I said, at night, some ideas for the future meeting, just here tonight, if we get, for whatever's left, or as long as you have time, that would be great. And I want to thank you all for taking time to come out tonight. I know we've all got a million things we could be doing, so thank you very much, and I'm just going to...
Object of this is to build community and to build an industry that will create jobs for people and to create a community where people can earn a living and live. And then we need to talk about the fact that all of our food is imported here.
Oh, that's okay. And I kind of did that last time. We do need to talk about that because that's the issue. That's why we're all standing. That's why we're even here tonight. you know, we import 90% of our food in the Ozarks. It's first of all, we got diseases going off the chart. We have cancer everywhere. It's just horrible, you know. So really, all of it goes back, in my opinion, to a lot of the diet we're eating. We can have healthy, homegrown food. We can have local jobs. We can have thriving year-round jobs here in Branson, in Hollister, and Taney County, which we don't have. And that's why actually we got about 4 or 5 young people that aren't here tonight, because they're just doing whatever work they can get, and you know, you may be working until 10 o'clock, so that's fine. I'm just, you know, we need obviously stable employment.
What happened to the hydroponics that we were talking about at the first meeting?
Yeah, aquaponics.
Aquaponics,
Yeah.
is that still in?
Absolutely, it's still on the radar. I felt like, and maybe that may be a goal we need to just say, hey, let's do aquaponics, and just start fiddling together tubs and you know, and getting some pumps and just try to do it. I just didn't know if that maybe is too big and too, you know, some of the stuff, like stuff I'm seeing coming into play, the aquaponics absolutely, but also a farmer's market here. We tried to organize the one this summer, but like
what was the roadblocks for that?
Tons of people wanting to buy the food. I think we can totally arrange that. We just have to get a hold of the people and use people like, you know, Kay, who knows people and knows how to do this. Everyone here to.
Yeah, there's a history, a little bit of a history with I don't know, because I don't know how Branson's doing, but there has been a movement in Hollister. It kind of raises its head every once in a while, and we worked on it a bit. And gosh, this is now 10 years ago.
Really.
And there was, you know, a certain amount of community support. Three of the merchants. Times have changed on Downing Street in Hollister a lot, but in the day there were a couple of merchants, and we worked hard at turning out farmers to come and sit and have a cup of coffee and talk about the possibilities. And it was tough, and we had 2 farmers after lots of phone calls and using lots of resources. And they sat and argued with each other most of the evening. That's not terribly surprising, because that's what farmers do.
Sure.
And then it seems like every 3 years somebody says, "Boy, we need it." Now, I don't think they need it for the reasons that you're talking about, Tim.
Sure.
I think they view it as this is how we develop retail traffic on Downing Street. I think that's what they see. But that's fine if they'll put wheels under it. I'm okay with that. You know, I mean, I'm perfectly happy to take advantage of them to do it.
I think that it would generate.
All right. Well, while we're on a good pause, are any of you objected, like being on YouTube at all? Just so I have an editing point, you know. All right.
If I say anything really stupid, just
yeah.
you just hack that part out. Yeah.
I have to ask because some people do, but.
Sam, there's a couple that developed a program that I thought was very interesting in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And they started their own farm and started growing product, purchased a warehouse, and they put their product in the warehouse, and then they've gone around to different companies and gotten things donated. They invite anybody that is in need of food to come in, but the agreement is they have to pay $50 for them to come and shop anytime they want to in their warehouse, but they also have to work the farmland at least 3 times per month. So it's not given away to them, and they're earning something toward that, but they can shop there anytime they want to, and they don't pay a dime for the food. But they do have to work for it. And I thought that was a very clever idea.
Yes, that is a clever idea.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe that's another side of growing
Yes.
gardens around here, is to get more participation.
Yes.
Some of them are food service operators, and they can see that we're handwriting on the wall. I think there's a lot of parents who want their kids to eat healthy food, and it's not hamburger and french fries every day.
Yeah.
But I think there's some allies there in those school
Do you
districts.
think Wayne Dieter could be interested in coming on board?
I think he'd be interested in talking about it.
Okay.
In the kind of prioritizing session we had, the council members the other night, the council members were very interested and very pleased that 4-H had kind of gotten reestablished in the county. It's not very big yet, but so I think there's some willing ears there. But I tell you, in these school districts, I think they're, with the exception of probably Branson, I think they're they're about this idea.
Okay.
That's for what it's worth.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to point out, I'm not texting on my phone. I'm going to take notes. I don't have a pen, so I'm just going to take virtual notes to myself.
And listen, I can dig out that contact list for you and give it to you. I've got it in my files. My head is getting smaller as I get older, and so I need to put things in a file like that. I'm here to tell you. Yeah.
How hard would you think? Getting Branson on board would be? How hard would you think that would be?
You know, I just, and this is just one person's perspective. I haven't found them particularly responsive to any initiatives from us.
Right.
I mean, our academic program has a culinary component, and that's why we're interested. We'd like to see them, put some culinary classes in there. And Chef has tried, I've tried. We get a little dialogue going, and then they just disappear for a year, and then they come back and say, well, gee, why don't you come out and do a demonstration? And it's just that there doesn't seem to be any real sustainable interest there. But I haven't marched into the superintendent's office.
This may be a real off the wall idea, but I hear they placate to the stars, and the stars over there in Branson. The school district does, because that's where they get most of their money from.
Well, I suppose that's possible.
So you can, I guess you could pitch it to one of the. Let's start. I'm not sure if anyone would get behind that or not, but
it's hard to know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're all older, so.
But I think Hollister with this grant, and I'm a fan of partnerships. And boy, they'd be my best friend if they've got $375,000.
Well, yeah, that could be anybody's best.
But I think districts like Blue Eye and Omaha and Forsyth and places like that are kind of fertile ground, I think.
Oh, that's very good.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Blue Eye's got some killer soil over there too.
Absolutely.
They were supposed to be getting the farmer's market over there this past
Are
year,
they?
and
Yeah.
And it
I
just
think
didn't.
it came about.
No.
Boy, those things are just darn hard to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kickstarting like an old 70 or something.
We had two. I think we had beyond myself some garden.
Yeah.
My grandmother some out of her garden, and Joanna had some that she had grown. We had the Mennonites come out one time, and that was our response. So when they sold all the fried pies and cakes and stuff you could think of. Like,
Sure.
People like those too, but we had one day I think we had around 100 people stop. It was crazy.
Oh, people want to buy there.
Yeah.
It's just that there's the people that produce the stuff are too lazy to develop it.
Is that the problem?
I think it
I
probably
can't figure
is.
out why somebody wouldn't want the
I
chance
think
to
they're
sell
just too
what
lazy
they're
around
See,
here to.
The thing of it is, they put all that work into growing it, and then
Well, but
They
talking
don't-
to the big farm, the big tomato farm on Bee Creek
Yeah.
up there, I talked to those people out. They have a kid that works at the school also, and they were like, man, I've got 2,000 acres or whatever of tomatoes, but it's just not. Every time we go out to a farmer's market, it's just not worth it usually.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, so maybe we're looking at it from a retail perspective.
Well, I think they're
Of course.
to talk to the two farmers that I met at that. It was all about, well, don't you understand the price of gas, Jerry? And we've got to drive all the way in, and then I got to spend my whole Saturday. I work hard all week, and I don't want to come in and stand around on Saturday for not enough return. And
Sure.
and it's it's that story. And
So we go get it.
Does the health
Maybe.
department get involved in that at all, Terry?
not unless you're cooking.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah, they don't.
So
They're
we had
perfectly
that guy
okay.
in Forsyth that was going to develop a farmer's market down in Rockaway, and I don't think that.
I think they're up by the Presbyterian Church, and they get about
There
three
is
or
one there.
four.
Yeah.
About
that's-
3 or
that's-
4 vendors out there, maybe.
that's
I think it's during the week, though. I'm not really
Tuesday,
sure.
Thursday, and Saturday.
Is that what it is? Yeah. And I think there's probably only one farmer there. Well, that's not fair. I think there's one guy selling food, and
Yeah.
then a lady selling plants.
During
And
the week, there's only maybe one or two.
yeah,
On a Saturday, you might find a few more, but you gotta get there early.
yeah,
I mean, like 6 a.m. early.
yeah.
You know, so.
Will it help to maybe contact, I mean, I have a whole list of wine developers now. Would they have any connection, do you think? that was the hardest thing we found to find for the Grape and Fall Festival, by the way, was getting the grapes for the
Get
grape
grapes.
stock.
Really?
Yeah.
Hardest thing to do I've ever seen.
Wow.
But I have a whole list of winemakers now, so, or wine developers, so that might be a lead-in to go with too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Delivery system?
we did some of that actually at ours. We would
It's
go,
a different model.
we go up, we
Yeah.
did from the Amish and try to just to have more volume, but so maybe we do have to do that.
Maybe we go to the people
Yeah.
that
You've got the people that are coming and that want to buy it. It's not having a product there available for them. So maybe we need to think about making that product available.
You know, and there's
Needs.
a synergy there if there are successful sales, even if it takes energy to move it from the farm down there, then farmers will see that,
It'll snow.
you know, and then you can go from there.
Sam has a perfect place.
Oh yeah, that location's great.
It's over there by, 165, next to the Fall Creek Tire and Battery, right there by,
The fish hatchery. It's just down the road by the fish hatchery. It's like you can see the fish hatchery, and I've got a 2,000 square foot concrete pad literally sitting, right off the highway up on a hill where people can see. So it's a good spot, but maybe it would be much cooler, I think, to have it Downing Street. Maybe that's the goal. Then.
Maybe those Mennonites can come in handy.
Well, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I heard they talk.
Oh,
They like to talk to
their
people.
language is incredible.
Yeah.
and then they have a very you've forgotten that they have a very successful market out in Kimberly City.
Oh yeah.
And those people, we just didn't get to them in time. And then there's people in Berryville, and what is that other place, Green Forest, that those people came from?
Yeah, Green Fort. Well, and then also remember the heat was so extreme, not only on the growing, but also, it was like, over 100
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
We were doing it right in the prime of that. It was like people were just dying out there in the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the Kimberly City one though is it's been around for about 20 years, hasn't it? Been around for a long time, right?
Well, everybody
Thank you,
seems
guys.
to be named Tracy all of a sudden, but that girl was named Tracy who really started that. It's 5 years just that they've been doing it, and she was willing to come.
There's a farm that grows a lot of produce over on F Highway heading in toward Forsyth right now too. So that may be another place to contact.
Some of the one where they sell it right there.
That has that old chapel.
Yes,
Yeah.
I stopped there one
Yeah.
day and,
How's their pricing? I haven't stopped to see.
well,
Are they fairly high?
it was a little bit high,
Yeah.
but
And
I did go ahead and get some.
there's also that guy on Shepherd of the Hills Expressway on the way to Branson West. Yeah, he's got a fresh produce stand like out on his front property.
Yeah, there's one over on 76 too by the Hilltop gas station
Yeah.
that was there all summer. So, I think there's opportunities there. I think it's just reaching out and finding those
The one you're talking
connections.
about is the one where they have an orchard right there?
Yeah, they have an orchard. I think it's either right by or behind the stand. I think it's behind the stand if memory serves me right. But that guy's good. Their tomatoes, probably the best I ever had.
Actually have taste to them.
Oh yes, they got flavor. They pick them at the right time.
Produce at the grocery store, like crazy, like compared to like the stuff you can grow. It's like, it doesn't taste right, and it's, oh man, I could go on all day. Got that.
Well, let's take the problem from a different point of view. Here we are, a bunch of also kind of smart people, and we have chosen to live in this place, which is a beautiful and wonderful place. And we recognize that we are lacking in community and opportunity for the majority of the people. And we have to recognize that the whole community has so far been built around the theatrical community. The theatrical community seems to be separate from the rest of the community. And yet, when I go into the health food stores, I notice that the dancers who are basically athletes, and I noticed that the stars are interested in health. So maybe we need to begin to ask the theatrical community to become part of us, and allow us to become part of them. Because we seem to have separated communities all around here. How can we begin to connect community? Or do we want to live our lives out just separate, riding around? And
I don't think we have the option to do that anymore, economically, especially. I mean, just in the future, in the near future. I don't think we have. This is what we're doing has to happen. So it's going to either happen, or we're going to be on top of it and have it done, or we're really going to have to deal with the changing world and country. It may be unpleasant, so we can make it a pleasant thing, I think. So.
And I know Jerry's in the room, but it seems to me that the college separates itself from the community. And they are doing farming. They have a strong agriculture department. And the question always arises in my mind, why is that college not participating more in the community? We have a new college coming in, and certainly they're going to be talking about education along these lines. And I think that the entire human race has moved up to a different level of consciousness.
That new college already has a course line in like planting, gardening, stuff like that. Matter of fact, the one up in Springfield's got like an indoor greenhouse type thing with the UV light, or not the UV lighting, but the awesome fluorescent lighting, so on and so forth, so it can grow at the night if they choose to. I mean, it's a great place. They need to do.
Wonderful. And so here we have isolated again, little people doing everything, but how do we incorporate it into the community and create a community that can live 12 months out of the year with jobs and eat, instead of all of this poverty? Are we striving for something impossible?
I think there's two answers to that, actually. I think you have people out there that want to survive, and then I think you have people out there that are so used to living off the freebies. They are so used to being laid off in November, December, and not having anything but state income for 3 or 4 months, and then they go back to their minimum wage jobs, and then they survive again. But they're so used to that jumps from generation to generation to generation to generation. How do you break that pattern?
I think that my personal opinion is the pattern is getting ready to break itself. So it's going to break itself. So maybe that is what has to happen for those people. I think either way, I see them coming. That pattern being broken. But I see your point.
Ozark Tech. I went up there for a course in media, but
They're moving out by the college. They're building a brand new location.
yeah, you know where Crocky's used to be on 165? It was just this giant restaurant that stuck out of the hillside on 65. Like if you're driving down 65, you see this giant building with the blue roof and everything. But anyway,
It's gone now.
it's gone now. They got this huge college building going up. I mean, we're talking like 3 or 4 stories right by the highway. It'll be impossible to miss this next time. Yeah.
Groundbreaking is when?
October 27th.
Yeah.
Oh, they haven't started on it.
No, not yet.
They've gone in and
But
preliminary.
everything's
Is
finalized.
that where that church building came down?
Yeah. Right.
Below it.
Down below that.
Yeah, just down towards Hollister.
Oh.
Yeah, there used to be a restaurant. But anyway, I hope they bring their gardening department, or at least create openings for it down here, because I think that would be a good way to go and get the education bodies networking.
And I think it'll be up to you all or us or whatever to make that case.
Yeah.
Basically Dr. Higdon has said, hey, you have to tell us what to put in the building. They're not making a decision just to bring arbitrarily whatever down here. And so I think if agriculture, home gardening or personal agriculture, if you want to put it in those terms, if that's a need or a requirement or desire down here, then you're going to have to make a case to to the curriculum people at OTC, and they'll listen, because they're at this point deciding.
How do you get in
right
touch
now.
with
How do we
them?
make that case? Do we,
Oh, I think we,
I'm pretty sure you can appeal to the higher ups, or even call up student service or
I think that
customer service
yeah,
and just make the case.
the assistant provost who's in charge of curriculum up there has been to Hollister many times, was kind of integral in my frame of reference, I'm sorry, is Hollister. I don't mean that to.
Yes.
Well, the rest of the county's a lousy place.
You guys, everyone but Hollister.
But she's been down and worked with the Hollister School District on the tax issue that was on the ballot to get OTC here, and I think she gets it. And so I think there's a fairly direct way to get at those curriculum people and say,
Yep.
hey, that needs to be a part of what's in that and on that campus.
Yeah.
so lots of phone calls, lots of.
And
I think there is a formal way. And there's a hello there. And,
Yeah.
And you kind of go through the hoops and write a paper and put a cover letter with it, do all of that.
Sure.
And then I think you recruit as many people to call and make noise and write a letter to the editor and all those kinds of things, because they're a very political organization and they'll really respond to that stuff.
Yeah, although it's like one of my friends that goes there says it keeps becoming like a more liberal arts type technical college. They could be just making their main institution, a more liberal arts, but then branching out to the other. They got 4 or 5 other places around the Ozarks, so.
And they're looking for more.
They got all kinds of property. I'm hoping they'll bring the agriculture department down here.
Can we invite them here?
Sure.
Let's invite them for next meeting.
All right.
And let's also begin to, we've talked about this amongst ourselves so many times, that what we are attempting to do is a group of citizens who are investing their lives in this place. And we are talking about building community. And I think that if they're coming in as a community college, they need to be aware of the interested citizens. I think that we, the people, and we are the people, have sat back on our haunches too long and been afraid to address the ones that we think are our leaders, and we have to become the leaders.
Motivated by this, that, or the other to just add a little bit.
There's a church out toward Taneyville that supplies, they have a huge garden out there, and they supply a lot to their parish that are in need. So, I think there's people and organizations out there, we just have to find them and figure out how to pull them together in our village too.
The Shepherd of the Hills Garden, Master Gardening Club, we made a contact with them, which I have not spoken to them, but they, someone within their organization said that, the church, the Catholic Church, has a plot of land they already have ready for a community garden. They just want to find a way to get it out to the public and get people involved. So, maybe that goes into the garden squad deal, or I don't know.
Well, Denise has an awful lot of good ideas, and she's a wealth of enormous knowledge.
One of the ways that we're going to get more people involved is even if we just start with the workshops, for instance, and have, even if it's just our core group coming to those workshops, they get excited about them, they go and tell a friend, and every time we have a few more people. I think the excitement about it is going to have to come from within the interested people, and then I think that after that happens, you'll start pulling more people in as our maybe momentum grows. I think that's a possibility, but basically we need to know what people are interested in learning about, whether it's building raised beds. Maybe we could get Franco down here with the aquaponics. So he's a fantastic, I was blown away the first time I heard him speak, because he has a lot of fantastic ideas. I think the idea of doing the aquaponics is fascinating, and I think that it is the wave of the future. It's going to have to be, yeah. But I don't know, somehow we'd have to have this structure in order to do that.
And that's my question also, because I'm just coming from political activism to this, and so, I understand how to get mad and bullhorn and, and organize people, but like, to an extent, for events, but I don't know, do we need to vote on stuff? Do we need to have like a board? I don't know what to, I need suggestions.
I absolutely agree. I think and I think you're on the right track. A couple of these things between now and a year from now, a workshop series. Gee, there are school community gardens going in 2 or 3 places that we did. I think success breeds success, and I think you'll have more people interested in coming if they can see that kind of progress.
Yeah.
And I think if it's the top 2 or the top 3 or do all 4 under projects,
right?
I think those are doable, or the beginnings of those are doable with the people that are in this room. That's my theory. And you just do the darn things, and then a few months from now, all of a sudden, this group is twice that size.
Right.
And if you had your first workshop and we all came and we brought one soul,
Right. Yeah.
it's that kind of. Yes. It's no different than political activism. Maybe it's not quite as dramatic,
right.
But it's the same. But it's the same. It's the same concept. I'm gonna tell my neighbor and I'm gonna bring them along and they're gonna drink the Kool-Aid and away we go.
Right. Sure. Oh, I think. And by the way, I think you're totally right. So maybe we need to say, okay, let's just get the ball rolling. We had planned like a canning workshop that we're starting to, that we were going to have on the 8th. I don't know, maybe it kind of just fell apart. We maybe thought there wasn't enough interest.
Well, I think the thing, since I live over in Forsyth, I know that the extension tried to do a canning workshop in Forsyth at the church I work, and they literally did not have enough interest in it. So I think that you have groups of people like us who are out there and who are interested in learning, but they're either not getting the information, that could be it.
Extension tends to put their flyer out to extension people.
Exactly.
And it doesn't go any further.
I don't need a flyer.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So, but I said, if we have, I know when we sent a sign up sheet around, if we have 4 people who are interested in canning, I have absolutely no problem opening my house to 4 or 6 or 8.
Okay.
In my house, I have enough room. I've got enough parking. I don't have any problem doing that. I have all my equipment there, so I'd really not drag it around town. I don't have any problem doing that.
Okay.
And a lot of people think of canning as a summer activity. Canning is an all-year activity. I like making soups, canning soups, and beans, dry beans. Dry beans are so cheap to buy, and they're really easy to can. So even something like that, and that still teaches the process. And once you have the process and you get your feet wet a little bit, then you can kind of go from there.
Okay.
But I'd be all over that, because I love showing people how easy some things can be, because they think of it as being hard or time consuming. It is time consuming. I won't kid you on that, but the benefit is way better than thinking about how much time it took. So I'd be interested in doing that if we have 3 or 4 people, and then maybe
we had like 4 people, and 3 of them were under 30. So
right, and then maybe next year we had those people that maybe just come out to my house and do something very informal there at the house. But if we get more people interested, then maybe next summer we can have a canning workshop where we're reaching more people. So maybe something like that. Maybe we don't need to jump out there in front of the community before we really, feel comfortable with what we're doing.
That was kind of my concern, because I was like, okay, let's do it, but
yeah, because we don't want to get out there and then kind of flounder, and then people are like, I don't know, those crazy people. Maybe we need to start smaller, and it'll kind of snowball from there.
Okay.
For canning.
I guess you don't want to use a bunch of time and resources for something that
may not pique anybody's interest, which is sad, but.
Well, and I mean, you know, like I said, I can, you know, I do chicken if I want to do something like that. I mean, so there's all kinds of things that you can do through the winter, and we can kind of get our feet wet through the winter, and then, you know, maybe next year we can go out to the, you know, we maybe have more people at that time.
Well, and I think, you know, Joanna brought up a good point a while ago. There are people out there. It's just finding out how to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, where are those people?
Right.
Because the interest is there.
Yes.
At least we're getting the feedback from different organizations
Mm-hmm.
that it's there. It's finding out how to get to all of those people that have an interest.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're set as think about it, we're talking about basically all of Taney County, which goes all the way out to me and Bradleyville, all the way out, you know, it's a lot of area to get a hold of.
Fair amount of land,
Yes.
So sometime when we do the workshops, we've got to make sure that we plan ahead, put out flyers at all the country stores, and you know, give people time to plan before you do them. Because I know when I go through Taneyville, I look at the board and see what's coming up.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm always looking just to see what's happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's all that a lot of those folks out my way. That's it. That's how they get their information.
And even, I mean, I was trained as a master gardener in Pennsylvania with Penn State, and that is what my background is. I did not follow through with the master gardener program here in Taney and Stone counties because I felt like they were more focused on flowers, and flowers are fine, but I can't eat them. So I really like to eat. So I was a member of a garden club, and that they do flowers and landscaping and that sort of thing, and that's fine. But as a master gardener, the way I was trained is we were really trained to educate the public. And we were trained to help them with whatever it is that they were needing help with, whether it's growing vegetables, whether it's making a raised bed, organic gardening, which Penn State didn't recognize at the time, but they're starting to. But so I really enjoy that. And I do know that when you get out there and you get in front of people, it causes a stir and they get interested in it. Because everybody's interested in eating. I mean, let's face it. And when they realize that you don't need an acre garden to grow something for your family, I mean, I do a lot of my growing in pots. I use 15-gallon nursery pots, and then I have several raised beds also. But, I mean, there's all kinds of ways, and sometimes you just have to get people thinking around, okay, yeah, I have this pot and I can grow some lettuce. I don't need to have an acre garden. You know, so some of the workshops could be, you know, something like that. We could do social events, not just a workshop. One of the things I've been wanting to do for the last several years, but I didn't have a venue, and I didn't know how many people I could get interested in it, is a seed exchange. How many gardeners have thousands of seeds around the house? And you every year you buy new because you want to try something different, but now you got all these, and you know, even if you're growing heirlooms, you can share heirloom seeds that you've grown yourself. I've wanted to do something like that for the last several years. So something like that is more of a social function, but yet it accomplishes something. You get to trade seeds with people. And a plant exchange. We used to do a plant exchange also in the spring. A lot of people grow their own seedlings. We just got a 8x6 greenhouse last year, so I do a lot of seedlings in the spring. So, you know, something like that. You could kind of make it a social event, but yet accomplish something and, you know, kind of reach out to people in the community that way too. So I think a lot of people in the spring are really interested in growing. Kind of wanes when it starts going into the 90s and 100-degree temperatures, but the interest is there in the spring. People are excited about it.